Excited about going to the Birmingham Bowl, historic Legion Field. Growing up in the Southeast, sitting in Rome, Georgia, with my dad, Larry Muschamp, watching the Iron Bowl, and watching those games through the years. The first two Southeastern Conference championships in 1992 and 1993 at Legion Field, the home of the Southeastern Conference. So we're certainly excited. I know our fans are excited to be back bowling, and one of the huge attractions that any bowl site has is how we travel. And our fans will travel well to support this football team, and support these young men, and we certainly appreciate that. As I kind of reflect on the year a little bit this past week going recruiting and looking back, there's two words that kind of come to mind, and that's improvement and that's future. And as far as improvement's concerned, we made a lot of strides offensively. We're not very good early in the year, but we did show improvement throughout the season, and that was really a positive for us. Defensively, from last season, we improved in every defensive statistical category that they keep, every single one of them, and some of them vastly improved. Certainly excited about that. As far as the improvement of our football team, I said it before the year, we have a very young team, and we're going to make some improvement and some strides, and we certainly did, and I credit our staff. I think our staff did a really good job, top to bottom, as far as that's concerned. And then the future, you got 19 first-time starters, more than anyone in the country. 7 true freshmen started, more than anyone in the country. 80% of our rushing yardage were by freshmen. 70% of our passing yards were by freshmen. And over 90% of our receptions and yards receiving were by freshmen and sophomores, and some good players in those spots. So really excited about the future of our program moving forward, and certainly having the bowl practice is going to be huge. We were picked to finish last in the Southeastern Conference. You guys did a really good job of that. We weren't. All right, and we're going bowling, so that's exciting. So we're thrilled with that. South Florida's a really good football team. Willie Taggart's a guy that I've got a lot of respect for. They've got a school record 10 wins. Quentin Flowers I recruited, so I know we would have a hard time tackling him in a phone booth. He's really good. He is a slippery guy. They've scored over 30 points in every game. They're very athletic defensively, so we're going to have our work cut out for us. They won their league, the American Athletic Conference, and they've done a fantastic job this season, only losing 2 games. So, as a program, we're not where we want to be. No one's satisfied with 6-6. I can assure you of that, but thank goodness we're not where we were. And there's been a lot of improvements, so we're excited about that. Lorenzo Nunez has come to me. He and his father, Dale, he's going to transfer. He wants to play quarterback, and we're trying to help him right now through that process and getting him to some spots where he feels like he's got an opportunity. So that's really, as far as the roster is concerned, the only update that I have, and I'll open up for any questions.
Raise your hand, get a microphone to you.
Have you crossed paths with Willie, or you just know him from afar?
Just know him. We had some common. Coleman Hutzler was on the staff with him at Stanford under Jim Harbaugh, and Willie being at South Florida, he's a good football coach.
Dave.
Taggart's up for another job. Whether he is there or not, does that influence your game planning for this?
No, I think there's a lot that gets printed that who knows if it's true. Obviously, he's done a fantastic job at South Florida and certainly would be attractive to any university. But in a bowl practice time, there's only so much you can change and do. Schematically, you are who you are, and we'll prepare through as we've watched the film through the season for their team.
Coach, you mentioned the practices. How important are those for a young team like this one, and what is going to be the focus when you're getting ready for the bowl game?
Well, I think, the first 4 or 5 practices for us is going to be about South Carolina. It's about improving our football team and really, just base fundamentals of having some time off from the last week of class, and then obviously exams coming up this week. So we'll start on December 15th with our practices. And so we'll have 4 or 5 just base fundamental practices. We need to get back to the basics, and we'll have some time as a staff, quality control work on study ourselves a little bit, some things that we know that we need to improve on. So that's how it'll start out, and then we'll have 4 practices on South Florida before we break for Christmas, and then meet in Birmingham on the 26th.
You've told us for a couple of months that Nunez was working at wide receiver and was making progress. So are you surprised about Lorenzo's decision to transfer?
I'm disappointed. I thought that he certainly could have helped our football team moving forward. He's done everything we've asked him to do, but I want him to be happy, and he wants to play quarterback. And his father Dale came in, and that they expressed that, and so we're trying to help him right now. He's done a lot for South Carolina, and we appreciate his contributions here at South Carolina. And we're trying to help him right now. So I'm personally, as I told them, I'm disappointed that he's not going to be here, but we're trying to help him. He wants to play quarterback.
You guys had a football banquet this weekend. How was that, and how nice is it to have that event here during an official visit weekend?
Well, it's always good to have it, there as far as being able to have some of the official visits involved with our players and in that operation. But Kim Fields did a fantastic job putting it all together. And it's a senior banquet. It's to honor the seniors, and again, you know how appreciative I am of this senior class and the job that they've done for us. Really, as far as bringing them, welcoming us as a staff here at South Carolina and doing a fantastic job leading our football team this year. We had a lot of fun.
Coach, you talked about after that A&M loss, you can't press reset. That's the problem with society today. Looking back now, I mean, what can you take away from this team and just maybe something you were trying to figure out about this team that was still uncertain at that time? What have you learned from the squad?
Well, I think as much as anything, handling the adversities, going 2-4 in the open week, and really challenging our guys in a lot of ways in the open week, and then responding, winning 4 of 6 down the line. And so, extremely proud of how they responded, the resolve they have. It says a lot for our future moving forward and the type of young men we have in the locker room.
After the Clemson game, Bryson Allen Williams said he heard a racial slur on the field. Have you investigated that? Have you followed that up with him, and do you have a response to that?
Several players came to me after the game about something that was said during the game, and obviously there was a racial slur said during the game. I told them, I hate that in 2016 you're dealing with something like that, first of all. Secondly, we're going to handle the things that we can control the things we can control, and that's having class in all situations. And that's really, leave it at that, and I really don't have anything else to say about the matter.
But you feel confident that it happened?
Absolutely.
Did you hear it?
I believe my guys.
The quarterback situation, as far as practice after the Clemson game, with the way it was split, is Jake still clearly number one, or will Brandon get a lot more work at quarterback?
Jake's still our quarterback, and Brandon certainly warrants every opportunity he gets on the field. I mean, you saw what he did in the second half there. He brought us a spark and moved our football team. He's a really good football player, and we're going to continue to. No different than any other position. You got to have competition, and we've got great competition at that position.
Will, I know you just found out, obviously, about when you guys are playing, but how do you manage that with the next couple of weeks? What will be the schedule leading up to the game?
As far as,
I mean, obviously, you guys aren't going to be playing until the end of the month. So how do you manage that opposed to if you were playing maybe next week or in 2 weeks?
Sure. Well, again, our guys need to be focused on exams right now, and you can see our track record of academic history is really good. So our guys will be focused on exams and finish strong academically. Give them a couple days to get home and recoup a little bit from that, and start practice on the 15th. And at the end of the day, the fun's in winning, and that's what you need to be able to focus in on, and be able to have a mature team handle a little time off and coming back. And there's a time to have fun as far as bowl games are concerned, and there's a time to focus as far as those things are concerned. And that's going to be my emphasis when then we get them back on campus and start working out and getting ready to play a very talented South Florida team.
Have you had a chance to watch USF any throughout this year, or even after finding out?
No, I have not. We've been recruiting and been busy with that right now.
Coach, you mentioned how young this team is. What will the opportunity of playing in a bowl game, that atmosphere, traveling on the road, do for this squad moving forward?
Well, we need to play better on the road. Certainly our last 2 outings weren't very good. So that'll be good for us, number one. But again, you have to – football's a developmental game. You got to develop, and you can't get better playing defensive tackle you need to take on a 700-pound double team, which we're going to do a lot in these next couple practices we have. So playing the game and getting turns and reps and letting the game slow down for those younger guys is going to continue to help our football team and huge for our program.
Well, did Jake get his knee looked at all after the Clemson game?
He's fine. He just had a bone bruise.
You mentioned the fundamentals practices. How do those differ from the normal ones?
Well, I think from a normal setting standpoint, when you're getting ready for a game, you're going to go against scout team, and they're going to be giving you the offense or defensive looks or special teams looks that the other team may give you. The first 4 or 5 practices are going to be strictly, South Carolina on South Carolina, fastball work, good on good. There won't be any scout team work at all. And we regardless of preparation or not, we always do good on good in everything we do. We just don't do as many reps. And we cut back a little bit so we get the scout team reps so we can introduce the schematics of the offense and defense the other team is going to use against us.
Will, after a game like Clemson, how much do you spend watching that film? Obviously, you want the guys to learn, but at the same time, you probably don't want their confidence to get too low. How do you balance that off?
No, you should be technical in your corrections and the things that we could have done better as a staff and as a team, and that's the bottom line. So you watch the film. You got to always learn from the situation, the circumstance. If you don't play well and you don't coach very well in some situations, you need to spend time on it. You'll see it again at the end of the day. So everybody watches the film and sees what they hurt you with, and you'll see all of those things again. So it's critical for you to go back and make sure you go through those things.
You mentioned the progress defensively that this team's made. Offensively, do you look to do anything different in bowl practice, or is there anything you want to look at that's different to improve results on that side of the ball?
Well, we'll have probably 3 or 4 days as a staff once we get off the road from recruiting to have some quality control work to go through some things that we need to do better in the run game and the throwing game or whatever it is. And we need, obviously in all phases, we've got tremendous improvements to make. So those will be some decisions we make when we have time to be able to sit down and digest a little bit about what we've done through the season and looking at ourselves and studying ourselves.
With Championship Saturday yesterday, and you've been there before as a coach and now with your program at South Carolina, do you allow yourself to kind of think about, how far down the road you've got to travel with your program to be there on a future Championship Saturday?
I've got a win now mentality, and it's just the way I kind of try to approach things. It's about winning now. I told Kim, don't schedule the banquet on this next Saturday next year. We plan on being in Atlanta.
Anything else for Coach?
All righty. Thank you.